Thank you, everyone, for joining the Future Proof podcast. My name is Alex. I am joined here by Nick. He is the owner and CEO of 404 Ninjas. Thank you for joining me, Nick.
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you just tell everyone quickly kind of what 404 Ninjas is about, what you guys do, and a little background?
Sure. So basically, we're an MSP, and these days people are like, "What an MS? What? Too many acronyms and stuff like that." So IT geek extraordinaire. So
Nice.
So basically, what in a nutshell, what we do is we go ahead and we take care of your IT investment. We take you from where you are, put you back on rock solid ground if you're not there, and then we take you to where you want to be. And we do that through examining what you do, why you do, where you do, how you do, and when you do it. And we take a look at your processes. We tend to take a look. We tend to take a look at things as from a partnership level rather than just from a computer geek type of level here.
Got it. So, kind of what is an example of like that partnership between you and like a potential client?
Oh, so basically, the partnership is they come to me and they say, so there's three levels of the partnership. One is, Nick, we have no idea what we're doing. Please just help us out. And the second level is, we're experts at what we do. We have very little to no IT experience. Or we get the third one, which is, hey, we know what we're doing. We're pretty good at IT, but we just don't have the manpower to go ahead and handle it. So you just take it on the analysis of those three. And but no matter what, I always make sure that I understand exactly what you do, why you do, when you do, and how you do it. Because otherwise than that, I'm just going ahead and I'm just saying, yeah, let's go ahead and throw a Linux server at you. Let's go ahead and throw, this particular piece of software, and it might not be good enough for you. And then you'll come back to me in about a month saying, "Oh, you recommend this and it stinks. Do you know what you're talking about?" And that's what I'm trying to avoid, because a lot of the MSPs nowadays, they are just they're in it because it's like, okay, this is what we've worked with for, this is what I've worked with for, many years. And this is what I'm used to. So, therefore they take the cookie cutter approach. I mean, I'm sorry, they take the rubber stamp approach, and, boom, this is good for you. 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 And then, 2, 3 months, maybe 4 months on the road, you hit that bottleneck and you can't get beyond it. So that's why I tend to go ahead and spend some time with the new clients and make sure that the solution that I'm delivering is something that they're going to want. Because number one, it just makes everybody else feel better. And number two, like the old Vidal Sassoon commercial said, if you don't look good, I don't look good.
Nice. I always like the old commercials were always the best. The new ones they're always good, but the ones that people can call out, the things that you remember from, 20 years ago, that obviously shows you that that was a really good marketing campaign. Um, so yeah, I mean, I love that because I mean, it's like the white glove tailored service that you guys give is so much more beneficial to a client because maybe they don't even know what they need to help out. And you're kind of going in there, addressing that, doing some,
Right.
kind of a discovery with them and figuring out how you can help them to best of their needs. Cause sometimes the other way is fine. It might not be as personal and maybe someone doesn't need that white glove service. So that's good. But you also can do that as well. So it's just kind of like a
Absolutely.
whole
Absolutely.
suite that you can give them.
I go by their trigger. If they're like, just fix it, okay, I fix it. But if they're hemming and hawing, kind of like, well, I don't know, then we go into partnership mode. Then I kind of, walk you through it, make sure that you're comfortable with everything and that you understand, as I always like to say, the method to my madness.
Yeah. So, remind me, when did you guys open, or when did 404 Ninjas get kind of started?
So this iteration of the company started about a year and a half ago. But I had my own company about 20 years ago, right after I moved down here to Georgia. I worked with Coca-Cola for a while, but and there was a little point in time where I was in between jobs with Coca-Cola. They went ahead and they had their big merger, and so it used to be Coca-Cola Enterprise, Coca-Cola USA, Coca-Cola Bottling, Coca-Cola Syrup, Coca-Cola. There were at least 60 different entities. They merged everything into one, and then my position became redundant. And they're like, well, you can sit behind a desk for the next 40 something years of your life, or you can go ahead and take the buyout. And so
Nice.
the first iteration that I had was a company called Capco Computing. Really, really genius on that name. Last name Cappello, so therefore Capco. And I was the how can I put it? I was it's kind of like the pre MSP guy. You just called me and say, "Hey, Nick, I need a server. Hey, Nick, I need this." There was no such official title as an MSP at that point in time, and we didn't have all the software that we have nowadays, like the RMM management. We had to go ahead and do that our own on our own. So we'd go make visits and all that kind of fun stuff. Um, and that's that's how the company originally started. And then one of the companies was like, Nick, you're doing just way too good of a job. We want to give you healthcare. We want to give you a whole, but I stopped at healthcare. It's like, okay, benefits, woohoo, don't come out of my pocket. Yes. So I was working in healthcare for quite a number of years. And then I got my last phone call at like 3:15 in the morning when a doctor could not go ahead and turn on the MRI machine correctly. And even though it's a three-button process,
Yeah, yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just like, see this hair on the head? See this color of the hair on the head, man? I need something a little bit more of my speed, man. I'm
Yeah,
starting, I mean, I feel like I'm 25, but I'm, right now I'm almost 55 here. So, gotta slow down just a little bit. And that's when myself and my partner, Mario, if it wasn't for Mario, I do believe that I'd be in a straitjacket right now. That man is a wave of calm and oh my God, what the hell is happening? I love that man. He is one of my favorite people. We met on a couple of projects that we've worked in the past, and I've had the pleasure of working together with him for over like 7, 8 years,
interesting.
now. But every time I talk to him, I feel like I've known him for 80,
That's good.
so anyway, him and we decided, we're both getting up in the years. It's time to start thinking about the future. It's time to start thinking about the retirement, something we never thought we'd even think we would see. And so that was when I'm like, okay, well, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to where I started, where I actually, met Mario. And that was, through Capco. So and I figure if I ever wanted to go ahead and do something, really weird, like maybe franchise the company or sell it off, Capco is probably not the best name that you can have. Therefore, the 404 Ninjas were reborn at that
Got
point
it.
in time.
Nice. That's always yeah. I mean, that's the number one thing in business. You guys got to build a business so you can actually get out of it or exit it. Tailored to you, or if you're the face of the business, it's that much harder to really
Yeah.
go ahead and get someone else to buy that business from you. So, with all that being said, we can go in a little bit more about kind of what you guys deliver. But really, what are you seeing in your industry right now that's like changing rapidly that you might need to address or get ahead of it? It might be and possibly that, or is it anything else that you're kind of seeing or the landscape is changing?
The biggest thing that I'm seeing is a dual fold thing. Number one is cybersecurity. I mean, right now, the wave of the attacks, the amount of the attacks, and the amount of breaches has exponentially multiplied. And that's because of a few things, but the top two are basically ignorance, number one, and number two, bad education as well. So, we've got a lot of older people, in the boomer generation using equipment. They were on the cusp of, just being able to go ahead and knowing what a computer was and all that kind of stuff when they were, starting to get into their advanced age. And us, we didn't grow up with one of these in our hands, but we grew up with Atari, we grew up with Commodore, we grew up with Texas Instruments and stuff like that. So we became more comfortable with it over here in Gen X. So, with the boomers and stuff, I mean, it's astronomical just how many of those people fall for hello, my name is Tom and I'm the Nigerian prince. I've got $2 million for you. And, that kind of stuff. And, I mean, so, that's what I call, just, play. They just never have seen that before. Me, I mean, I see that 20 times in a minute, because they're always trying to get me, and they're always trying to get the people in the organization.
Yes.
And then the other part to that cybersecurity is the fact that people use the same password for each and every single thing. They're thinking, okay, and I understand password glut is basically a menace onto society. You're going to hear me one of the few times. I have to work with Microsoft all day. So, but this is one of the few times I'm actually going to say Microsoft actually came up with a good thing by saying, we don't want passwords anymore. They want passkeys. They want, all this beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Because nowadays, we have to remember our PIN number. We have PIN number. I almost said PIN number. Wow. We have to remember our PINs. We have to remember our passwords to log into the bank. We have to remember the passwords to log into our healthcare. We have to go ahead, password for the computer, even. Hey, and if you are old enough to game, and you still like to game, you got to remember your Xbox password. So, I mean, there's just so many things that you got to remember, and it's just astronomical. There's more to life than just remembering passwords.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's the other part. That's the other part of that cybersecurity. And then the other thing is basically the rise of AI, like you mentioned. So AI is your friend, but it's also your enemy in the same way. But anybody that's ever read Sun Tzu or anything like The Art of War, you have to know your enemy. So I actually wrote a small little ebook. You can find it in my LinkedIn profile. And basically, it's about embracing the dark side of AI to learn about its light. So once you realize, oh my God, I mean, what's the most common thing, Alex, you hear from AI? They're taking our jobs, right?
Or they're going to, yeah.
Yeah. No, no, they're not. If they're taking your jobs, the job is never yours to have. So it's just like I always tell everybody, AI is like a pen. A pen can be great. It can go ahead. It can write down birthday cards. It can write down love letters. It can write down messages. It can write down your signature for your first house. It can go ahead and sign the birth certificate of your firstborn, or it could go ahead and ruin somebody's life with a couple of pen strokes, or it can jam it in somebody's eye and, next thing you know, they're dead.
Well, if
But,
you're right.
it's AI
Well,
is a tool. It is all in how you use it, how you utilize it, and how you master it. Now, granted, there's not much to master with a pen, but with AI, you have to go ahead right now, and with AI, you have to take a look at it, figure out what is it doing, why is it doing it, how is it doing it, and then once you take a look into that, you can kind of sort of become friends with your AI companion there, because I mean, if you take a look nowadays, you get AI's a little bit more friendlier. It used to be, "Hi, how can I help you?" And you pop in a simple query, there you go. Way to go, my friend. Now it's like, hey, how you doing? My name's Claude, and I'm here to help you. Hey, my name's Grok. What's going on? It's got a little bit of a personality now. So, granted, it's a fake personality. It's something that's just algorithmically there, but it's actually trying to go ahead and work with you, make you feel more comfortable. So the least you can do is kind of reach out halfway and meet him in there. So that's what it is. But then basically the other thing is with AI, they think it's a magic wand. Oh my God, AI, now we can do anything we want to. Yay. No. No, no, no. If you miscode something, if you go ahead and you say something wrong or you put the prompt in wrong, you're gonna get the wrong answer, or, as everybody's favorite thing is, hallucinations. You know, y- the average person isn't gonna know that it was a hallucination. It's a guy like me that's like, no, that just doesn't seem right, or that doesn't seem logical. And that's the other thing, a lot of people just take what AI says at face value, you know?
so why not? Yeah. Yeah, I think where it's most powerful is just using it as kind of like an executive assistant for someone, or, minimizing tasks or the time it takes to write an email, or, do really basic things. I don't think that it should replace your creativity and, things around kind of what you do on a daily basis, because once it starts creating or taking your creativity away, that's going to just start draining kind of what you're going to be able to do and kind of process and, put out in the long term. But
Yeah, I
if you
mean,
can
it
use
just
it
I
as
mean, it
that,
just
that friend, I think that's the best way,
yeah, I mean, it just drains you, period. I mean, because if you're no longer thinking for yourself and you're letting AI think for you, you've lost. I mean,
for
that's
sure.
it. I mean, there is no game to lose. I mean, it's just you've lost, period. It's like, okay, great. This guy can go ahead. He can paint paintings. He can make music. He can, write books. He can do all this. What did you do on it? Did you go ahead and say, well, I told him I want a book about a dog. Great. But did you go back and did you check it? Did you see what the dog was doing? Did you like what the dog was doing? Did you tell AI, hey, do me a favor, rewrite it from this perspective, but make sure the dog goes ahead and saves the day instead of sitting there and just licking his, what area? And yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yep,
All
yep.
she does is just sit there as all day. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's super good insight. I mean, do you see it impacting your industry
Yes.
in a lot? Like, kind of what do you
Yeah,
think? Is it going to be a
and
negative or
again,
a positive impact?
yeah, and again, it is a positive impact in a lot of things because I'm able to go ahead and educate. So one of the things that I love doing, one of my most favorite things is to be an educator. Teaching is free, knowledge is free. It's just the implementation that costs is my favorite saying. So, people come up to me and they say, Nick, what about this AI? How can it help us? Well, okay, since I kind of know how you're doing it and I work with AI, a lot. Well, here's the way that I could see you easing into it. Let's start with just like you said, Alex, a simple email answer, something on the website that can go ahead and take care of your people that visit the website. And you can also go ahead and take care of your simple questions that people may have. Where are you guys located? What's your hours? What's your average cost for blah, 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 blah. Is a simple thing and it could be answered and could be also with AI nowadays. It could be, reason within, with it. It could be delve into within reason. So, usually, so I actually have my own little AI that I use to, like you said, he is my quote unquote secretary, and even though if he knew that, he would probably come up and slap me. But his name is Alfred. It is an acronym for it because I mean, Alex, if you can be anybody in this world, who would you want to be? Batman. And who's Batman's most loyal person? Alfred. And so what he does is he goes ahead and he looks at my email. Does the triage on the email. Nick, you need to answer this right now. Nick, you probably need to take a look at this at some point in time. And Nick, don't even worry about it. Do you want me to answer it for you? Yes or no? And so there's a lot of times, he'll sit there and he's been taking the initiative lately, and it's fine, for the Nick. Don't worry about this. I just got it. But I know for a fact that he's been trained on 10 years of my emails. So he knows how I write. He knows how I look. He knows how I act in certain situations. And I believe when he first started out, taking the initiative, and I gave him the permission to take the initiative. He didn't just be like, okay, I'm doing it now. Stupid human. I gave him the permission and he's been doing pretty good. He's got like a 92% accuracy rate. And I've only had like 3 people ever just be like, that ain't
What
you
was that?
type, and that's gotta be something else.
Yeah. What is that what is he powered by?
He's powered by Llama,
Okay. All right. And then you created it and kind of got
and
it all
he's sitting on an old Dell Precision machine.
interesting. All right. Well, that's cool. So, more so about kind of 404 ninjas, kind of what is your guys' like ideal client size, industry, and how has that changed over time? Or are you only focused on like one industry and kind of one client? Are you guys really broad?
When the 4-Foot Ninjas first started out, we were just more like we were more into like basically, any kind of like blue collar type of business, anything that needed us, but they had to have a high user count. So, but then I realized when Mario and I sat back and we started talking about the business, we realized that cybersecurity is never going to, I mean, it's never going to go away. We need to go ahead and focus on that. So we went ahead and we changed our ICP, our ideal client profile, into people that needed more secure things. So your doctors, your lawyers, healthcare, your accountants, financial institutions, anything like that. That's now our bread and butter. That's the verticals we're headed for. Hey, so as I always say, we've got our heartstring clients. These are the ones, that, they're mom and pop ones and they're making dog biscuits and stuff. We'll always find a little time for them, but the main bread and butter is verticals.
So you're really focused on helping not people that need it, but people that have sensitive client material that it's super important that they protect that for their kind of livelihood of their business.
Absolutely. I mean, for many years, that was my job. That was my job to maintain HIPAA, and that was my job to make sure that nothing ever got screwed up. Because in a very roundabout way, and I'm talking about like, let's go ahead and pull that little tiniest of thread. If I screw up, somebody could die. Because if there was a problem with the EHR system, and it was due to a update or a patch that that I did not apply correctly, and there was a there was a medical interaction with that person
Huh?
that
Absolutely.
falls squarely on my shoulders. I
Yeah.
mean, granted there should always be checks and balances, don't say me, but from a small perspective, that death was on me.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in healthcare and they had a ton of checks and balances all the way through to basically make sure that obviously if that happened, checking names, checking birth dates, checking, things manually. But yeah, I mean, you never know. It's
Hmm.
if one thing fails, another thing could fail, another thing could fail, and then a disaster happens. So no, it's definitely super important.
Yep, and that and also with the greater integration now of not only just computers and your actual diagnostic equipment, like computers with the x-rays, computers with the PET scans, CAT scans, all that kind of stuff. You have Da Vinci robots that sit there, and I can be in Sweden and I could be controlling that, and I'm repairing a heart in, Idaho somewhere. So, again, if something happens and there's like just that little bit of latency, in there that nobody accounted for, and they cut the wrong part of the artery.
Yeah, it's not not good. So let's talk a little bit about kind of how you guys have your business structured. So I know it's you and Mario, and then you mentioned you have marketing as well.
Yep.
What are your biggest kind of bottlenecks right now with getting additional clients, and kind of how are you going about getting them?
So the biggest bottleneck is still our most current bottleneck right now, and it's pretty much going to probably be there for a while because we still have the new car sent on us, and that is name recognition. People know me as Nick Cappello with, Coca-Cola. They know me as Nick Cappello, friend to the Humane Society, but they don't know me as Nick Cappello, owner of 404 Network Ninjas. So trying to get that initial word out is the absolute roughest thing anybody can do. It's easy in theory. You go ahead, you pay a lot of people smarter than you a lot of money, and you put the ads out. You make sure that's targeted ads. You make sure that, your SEO is correct, all that. But people are going to see, you, and, unless they're really willing to take that chance, they're probably going to pass you by. So one of the things that I realized that I had to do was get my name and make my name shine. And so what I did was, I probably would have done this anyway later on, but what I did on the immediacy is I donated. We had a whole treasure trove of older equipment. I went ahead and I spent some money fixing stuff up, and I donated equipment to shelters, dog shelters. I went ahead and I did a lot of speaking engagements too. So I spoke on cybersecurity. I spoke on AI. I did outreach programs. So like kids in school, if they wanted to know, what do I need to get, what do I need to concentrate on in college? I went ahead and walked, through some of that with them as well. The more that you can go ahead and put out a positive image behind yourself, the more people are going to listen. And the more people listen, the more you become that thought leader. The more you become the thought leader, that's where that combination of the thought leader and the ads and everything else cross over, and everything's good.
Yeah, and especially like you just said too, like being involved in a little bit different things, or positioning yourself with other experts in the industry, you can kind of tail off their coat wins and kind of show that, content and everything like that. I mean, and
Right.
also too, social media, whether you like it or not, is an integral part of, growing any type of business. So yeah, are you doing any type of like cold outreach or outbound, kind of generation?
We did it first, so we found out our cold was just not working. I mean, it was for every 50 we sent out, we got two. It's just on the timing that we had. We started when the presidential, election came out, and so everybody was all worried about that. And
Everyone's
then,
just
yep.
inundated with all that crap. So yeah.
And then, after that, we had, okay, he's in here or she's. Let's go ahead with the he's in here or she's in here. They had to figure out, what's going on, all that kind of fun stuff. And, so that was just a nightmare. But anyway, after that kind of cleared up, we still found that cold outreach was not anywhere near what we needed it to be.
Got it.
Now, there's probably more effective ways to do it, but I just think that a cold outreach is just that, cold. It's not human. It is just me standing out there going, "Hi, my name is Nick Cappello. I run 404 Network Ninjas. I am the MSP you need." And then, hopefully somebody hears me. Whereas this way, if I can go ahead and tailor make some of those things and make it a little bit more warmish, that's where it is. But I find that, more of my speaking engagements, more of me on LinkedIn saying, reacting to things and talking and, becoming that thought leader. That's what's gotten me more eyes. That's what's gotten me more people taking a look and saying, "Hey, this guy is actually probably worth, a second thought here." But yeah, so with that kind of stuff, if all you can afford is cold, go for it right now. Just anything to get an eyeball on you. But always, 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 always take a look into the alternatives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you always want to, I think it's cold outreach or cold calling, cold emails are always the lowest barrier of entry for a monetary purpose to get
Yeah,
your kind of get that business growing. But yeah, once you actually start getting some monthly revenue and some income coming in, then you can actually start doing like targeted Facebook ads, like you talked about, things like that, really kind of generate a business and throwing gasoline on the fire. And then once that's done, then you can also focus on what you're doing as well, like speaking engagements. And I call it expert positioning, positioning yourself against someone, doing a meeting, doing a webinar, doing anything that can get your, one conversation out to many people is the most effective, I think. But yeah,
absolutely.
what, uh, what advice would you give to other kind of local IT MSP founders if they want to really scale and kind of grow that business and, kind of going from what you guys are going through?
There's no such thing as an enemy. There's no such thing as competition. There is only strategic partnerships, and there's only what I like to call realization amongst friends. So you take a look at what people would quote unquote call my competition. They're in some of the same verticals I'm in, but they're mostly in more different verticals. And that's fine. That's great. And they've come to me from time to time and been like, "Hey Nick, we can't take this project on. Would you mind going ahead and, take a look at it?" No, not a problem. And so what I do is I always make sure I'll do it, but then even if they don't ask for it, I always give them a little bit of a cut of it because they were kind enough to go ahead and say, "Hey, Nick, you want to go ahead and take this for us?" That's perfect. Again, the more people that are your friends, the easier it is for somebody to mention your name. When you stop your name being mentioned, that is when you start to lose business.
Agree. Yeah. I mean, it's always, having your competition next to you and using them as a kind of a resource is always a good way. Cause I mean, someone's always going to be doing something better than you. So you can kind of learn from that and kind of, not steal it, but maybe, put that into your business and kind of, help the growth as well. So
Right, 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 right. In IT, one of the biggest things for programmers is what we call code reuse.
yeah.
We just go on Stack Overflow, and it's like, I want that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good, good thing. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the conversation. Shout out kind of like your website, where people can find you, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that good stuff.
All right. So first off, you can find anywhere you see this ninja here, 404 Ninjas. 404 Ninjas on Facebook, 404 Ninjas on Instagram, 404 Ninjas in LinkedIn. My name, Nick Cappello, Cappello. Pretty much anywhere that you associate with 404 Ninjas. At the website, 404ninjas.com. And that's just anything that you can think of with the word 404 Ninjas. That's usually us. As long as you see the head that was drawn by Miss Lisa Line, like I said, best person ever have in your pocket. That'll be us. And the other thing that like to go ahead and make a shout out is to everybody that's sitting there writing right now and thinking, I can't start a business. I don't know how to start a business. I don't understand this. I was there too. I'm going to tell you that right now. You will always have the moment of imposter syndrome. You'll always be like, no, 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 I cannot sit there and do that. It's the more that you believe in yourself, the more that you believe that you can add something into this entire big blue marble we call the world. And if you could do it in a unique way, you do it. You don't stop. You don't, sit there and doubt yourself. Um, and the other last little thing that I'm going to go ahead and make a shout out to is my furry little friends. I want to say hello to all my little kitties. Samson, I would like to say hello to your pup right there. Samson, River, Bucky, and Luna, all my four little friends. And I miss you, and Daddy loves you.
Well, thank you so much. I think that obviously the shout out to the pets is the best, but that little tidbit, that last one, I think that's going to help somebody. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. It was awesome to meet you. And then, yeah, we'll talk soon.
Pleasure was mine, man. This was a great interview.